Near mint condition, the home of collected editions.
That cover's so awesome.
This is Mr. Chris Claremont, a legend.
Melanie goes,
Tired.
It is Tuesday, all you minties. That means it's time to take a look at the collected editions that are coming out from Marvel Comics this particular week. Looking at the week of December 2nd or 3rd, 2025. So, let's go ahead and get started. And welcome back, everybody. Before going any further, a big thank you to the folks at Marvel for sending us advanced copies of these books. These books are all due out in the direct market and book market on December 2nd or 3rd, depending on where you get your books. And there was a delay with one of these in particular, but I think some people ended up getting it. I'm not sure, and that is the Spider-Gwen Ghost Spider Volume 3. So we do have actually two brand new epic collections, one of them being a modern era epic collection and a classic era epic collection. Before going any further, please don't forget to smash that like button. That goes a long way for us here on the channel. Small thing you can do, but it does mean the world to us. Alright, as always, I'll put timestamps in the description of the video so you can jump around in case you're just curious about one or two books or don't want any spoilers. So today, we're going to kick it off with Volume 3 of the Cody Ziglar run of Deadpool. Here we go. The last of the Deadpool books by Cody Ziglar. This is Volume 3, Revenge of Wade Wilson. And goes without saying, but just in case, since we're looking at issues 13 through 15, spoilers for what happened previously in the trade paperbacks that are advertised in the front and in the very back right here. So, yeah, there's only 3 issues collected in here. But the 15th issue is the 350th issue of Deadpool, so it's giant size. Cody Ziglar, Roge Antonio, and Guru FX, Joe Sabino are the creators here for The Revenge of Wade Wilson, but then you'll have little short stories for the giant size book. Special appearance by Wolverine himself. The book has 112 pages and retails for $15.99. So previously what had happened in Deadpool during Cody Ziglar's run is Deadpool right now is running around with his daughter Ellie, and he's also running around with a giant symbiote named Princess. It's got like a big dog. He was sent on a mission, and then Taskmaster appears. So it's always good to see Taskmaster reunite with Deadpool. It always reminds me of that Gail Simone era of Deadpool. But he eventually gets killed by this character named Death Grip. Now, you'll see eventually what happened, how he ended up killing him, has something to do with that mystical blade, the Muramasa blade, that came all the way from Japan. And who apparently supplied Death Grip with the Muramasa blade is another character we'll be visiting here, and that is Solem. So Solem claims that he did hand it to him, and he helped, or he had a hand in helping to kill off Deadpool, and why. So this basically is exactly what this says. It is a revenge story, but it's not just Deadpool, it's the Deadpools, the Deadpool family, against this horde of the undead, all led by Death Grip, and then Death Grip trying to put a stop to Deadpool. We do have some side stories later on in the back, featuring Doug, and actually it features Doug and Princess. So, yes, as I mentioned, the 15th issue is truly the big, supersized 350th issue. So we have another story here from Cody Ziglar, again, just featuring Princess and Doug. And we've got a story here by Jerry Dugan and Matteo Loli that showcases this character, Ito Kurami. And then this is really cool because we have this back here. And it will tell you that you're reading it the wrong way. But this is the manga, the Deadpool manga by Kasama Sanshido and Uezugi Hikaru. This has been collected already in, I think, in a tankobon size by Viz. This, however, does have some color in it. But yes, it is collected in the traditional right-to-left format, like this. And you are told, hey, what are you doing? you gotta turn this around because this is a special bonus story for the 350th issue of Deadpool. So that's basically it. This is Deadpool by Cody Ziglar, Volume 3, Revenge of Wade Wilson, $15.99. Spider-Gwen, The Ghost Spider Volume 3. This is Uncharted. And before you ask, this material has not been collected in omnibus format, nor has it been collected in the Modern Era Epic Collection. There's Volume 1 right there, and Volume 2. All the covers supplied by Mark Brooks, who still does the covers for each of these issues. Stephanie Phillips is the writer, Paolo Villanelli and Von Rando are the artists, color by Matt Milla, and lettering by Ariana Mayer. Collecting issues 11 through 15 of Spider-Gwen the Ghost Spider, 120 pages, $17.99 is the retail price. Again, spoilers for this one too, in case you're not caught up with what is going on in Earth 65 or the life of Spider-Gwen, who is now going as Ghost Spider, and has been going as Ghost Spider for a while. Well, her life is about to get a lot more complicated because we're going to be leaving not just Earth 65, but Earth in general, and going through this cosmic type of adventure that features none other than the King of Lies, or the King of Stories, King Loki. And the reason why he's taken an interest in her is because she has merged herself with a huge superpower. Something that has the ability to just warp reality, time, and space. So I'm pretty sure most of you all can figure out what that is, but just in case, I just want to keep people... It's hard to talk about these stories with going into spoilers, even when you're looking at a volume 3. So she is doing some cosmic jumping around, trying to learn her new powers, and then Loki trying to manipulate her. In here, you are going to see characters like Ouroboros from the Time Variance Authority, because we are talking about multiverse jumping. And then we're going to see the return of the Mary Janes. What's going on in Earth 65? Like Glory is here, MJ Watson, and Betty Brant. And of course, you have the Celerity Council making an appearance through here. And her having not really a crossover, but a run-in with another character that is currently being written by Stephanie Phillips, and that is the Phoenix. Now, I saw recently, I don't want to spoil what ends up happening through here or who else ends up appearing, that Stephanie Phillips is going to be the new writer on the run of Daredevil after Saladin Ahmed left the book, or leaves the book. So she is used to writing these ground level characters, these streetwise type of characters, because Spider-Gwen isn't the only character that she's written that is like that. So I'm curious to see what she's going to do with the character of Daredevil. Now, this is the finale of the series with issue number 15, but it does get renewed, or I guess revamped. We get a cool new costume towards the end of this. I just want to see if it shows up, maybe, perhaps, in the next series. But the next series is called the all-new Spider-Gwen, the Ghost Spider. And I think there's 6 issues already out, if I'm not mistaken. So no trade paperback of that, or an announcement of a trade paperback volume 1, not yet. In the back, we do have some variant covers. And again, the cover here for volume 2. This book has a total of 120 pages and retails for $17.99. Deadpool kills the Marvel Universe one last time. So here we go again with the same creative team of Cullen Bunn and Dalibor Talajic. There's your title page, and then colors by Lee Loufridge and Joe Sabino doing the lettering. So this is the third in a series because we have Deadpool kills, I'm sure there are ads here, the Marvel Universe, and then Deadpool kills the Marvel Universe again. And this one is One Last Time. I really thought they would go with Yet Again before One Last Time, but here we are. One of my favorite little cameos that shows up is Nth Man. But is it the 616 Nth Man or another Nth Man? Well, although Nth Man wasn't really 616, was he? So the basic story here is that we have the character of Wade Wilson, who has successfully killed the entire Marvel Universe of this universe. He is approached by this young woman right here named Alfie, or Althea, but I think she tells him to call her Alfie. And she takes him on a journey across the multiverse. And what his job is to do is to go and kill certain people on this list. Many other Deadpools have tried, and a lot have failed. Apparently, this audition process was very brutal. So like, that's kind of the way that he gets talked into this, because he sees it as a challenge. Like, wait, if those other Deadpools couldn't cut it, I bet I can do it. And that's exactly what he does. So on this list, you're going to see different Earths versions of these very popular characters like Spider-Man, like the Punisher, like Daredevil, and then characters that you may or may not know, like Anna Kravinoff right there, the daughter of Kraven the Hunter, and his job is just to kill them. Why exactly? Why does he have to kill them, and does he ask these questions? Well, he actually does ask questions as to why he is supposed to kill them, and there is a reason. There's also some surprises through here where he ends up towards the beginning of the story, and where it all leads, and who is left to kill. And then whenever you're dealing with the multiverse, I think it's stupid fun, because you get to create a world where, yes, it's not just Capwolf, but it's Hydra Capwolf. So you get to tell those kind of stories that only people that would get that reference are people that have read like Mark Gruenwald's run, or the run by Nick Bradshaw. Nick Spencer's run on Captain America. So it's like a mashup of all these things that have happened, like a what if of a what if. But I think that's the most fun that you could have with a story like this. So this is a mini-series, and it's only 5 issues. This book has a total of 120 pages and retails for $17.99. Now, this swears that it is the last one. This is it. There's no more killing the Marvel Universe. I guess he's done with that lifestyle. We will see until the next time, probably. And then in the back, we do have variant covers, including this rough one. My gosh, poor Archangel. Poor Wolvie. I didn't even see Wolvie. I saw Archangel first. What does that say about me? Phil Tan over here. That was a Bernard Chang piece. And then Declan Shalvey. And that is Deadpool Kills the Marvel Universe one last time. Alright, it is now that part of the video where we look at the spines of the books, and also a small reminder to hit that like button, please. Goes a long way for us here on the channel. Small thing you can do, but it does mean the world to us. Okay, let's continue with the overviews. All New Wolverine, Modern Era Epic Collection, Volume 1, The Four Sisters. I believe that was the name of the first story arc in here. So basically, this is 3 different story arcs with the All New Wolverine Annual Number 1 added in here. So written by Tom Taylor, David Lopez, David Narato, and then you have Marcio Takara, Iguara, and Nick Videa, kind of breaking up the art duties throughout these issues. This collects All New Wolverine 1 through 18 and All New Wolverine Annual Number 1. The book has a total of 472 pages and retails for $54.99. I do want to say that I thought this was one of the $52.99s. I love the fact that we are getting variant covers on the opposite side of the standard edition cover. To give you a quick recap as to what's happened previously and where we find Laura during this point in her life. Because before this, she was X-23, and then we had, spoilers, here we go, because I have to talk about why she is All New Wolverine, the death of Wolverine. And we had Wolverines, and we had the hunt for Wolverine, and all those stories, and it leads into this. During this time, she's also a member of Dennis Hopeless' team of Uncanny X-Men. Was he writing? Yeah. No, or he was writing All New. Uncanny was Cullen Bunn. But she has a flashback here at the very beginning where she's wearing her X-Force costume, and so is Wolverine. And he's telling her a little bit about legacy and about the healing factor and what it would mean one day if something were to happen to him. So it's from those pages that you get the sense that there is the beginning of this legacy character. That's one of the things that Stan Lee never wanted to do with Marvel Comics. Forever he fought the idea of kids' sidekicks. That's why he had Bucky killed, or why he killed Bucky. And then eventually, he also hated the idea of like female characters like She-Hulk, but he wanted to beat the TV show to the She-Hulk copyright. So later on, of course, when he became president, then he left Marvel and they just put his name on the titles and everything. It kind of became a thing for Marvel to start doing a legacy line of characters, not just with Laura, but also characters like Captain America, characters like the Young Avengers. Whereas DC has had him all the way back to, well, Robin, right? And then eventually all those characters joined the Teen Titans. So it's had a sense of legacy since the Silver Age. Marvel never really had that. So a lot of people were surprised when something would happen to a main character and then these kids would take over the run. But I guess it was time to catch up, and you can't have just a distinguished competition beat you to the punch. What would happen one day if Wolverine were to die? Well, now we know. So yes, during this time, Logan is dead, and it is now Laura's story. And this first story arc sets up the idea that she isn't alone, that she wasn't the only clone, and we've known that since the miniseries of X-23. So she's trying to move past the death of Logan while still honoring his memory, obviously having his her costume design just like his. And then in this story, she ends up finding out that there are 3 surviving clones that have ended up going on the run. At the end of the first issue, she finds out there's an assassin that's going after her clones and who she helps out. And then this person turns out to be one of her clones. So there's 3 clones out there that she has sworn to go and help. Now, if you're a little lost, if you're thinking, I haven't read anything about X-23, I don't know any of that stuff, they're all making their first appearances through these issues. You have all these X-23 clones like Par and Zelda and Bologna. Oh gosh, what is her name? I cannot remember the one that passed away in the first issue. But Gabby, the most important one. The one that a lot of people fell in love with, including myself. So these 3 sisters are now escaping what seems to be the previous project of, not really Weapon X, but it's the one by Kimura, who plays an important part through here. So it's about getting them out and getting them kind of a new life. So she goes throughout a lot of the Marvel Universe in here, including Doctor Strange. She meets Taskmaster. There's a team up with Ant-Man and Wasp. And eventually she's able to help them out and find their own. The one that kind of sticks around and stays with her is the character of Gabby. Oh, Jonathan's first appearance is here. Jonathan is the actual Wolverine and ends up joining this team. Oh my gosh, I love this era. This is the issue with Squirrel Girl, and then we have the annual where they team up with none other than Spider-Gwen from Earth 65. And actually, she was Ghost Spider during this time. So that's the first storyline. The first storyline is about finding out that she's got other clones out there and helping them out. The next story is a Civil War II is what it's called. And it's the introduction of Logan, Old Man Logan, to the life of Laura. Old Man Logan was a character that appeared in the pages of Wolverine. It's a possible future that Mark Millar and Steve McNiven worked on. I love this homage cover right here. And eventually, because of Secret Wars 2015, makes it across the wall and ends up in the Marvel 616 universe. Because we don't have a Logan during this time, we needed an Old Man Logan. So we see Laura on the run from S.H.I.E.L.D. during the beginning of this, and Kimura, and then being forced to fight Fin Fang Foom and team up with none other than Old Man Logan. Now, believing that Wolverine is responsible for a bunch of this massacre that just happened, that decimated this small town, Nick Fury, the new Nick Fury, boy, legacy characters throughout this era, and S.H.I.E.L.D. attempt to take her in, and then Gabby and Laura go on the run to go and fight off against Kimura and another character. But the big fight, the big Civil War part of this, Civil War II, by the way, not the original Civil War, is the fight with Old Man Logan. And is somebody controlling him? What exactly is going on? Why are they fighting? Lots of guest stars throughout here too, not just Captain America that you saw there, but other guest stars from the X-Men. And the next story arc, and I hope this doesn't drive anyone away, because the next story arc through here is the Enemy of the State 2, is what it's called, I believe. Because the other one was called Civil War II, and this one is called Enemy of the State 2. Enemy of the State was a story by Mark Millar and John Romita Jr. This time around, it's a little bit different. this time around, the enemy of the state happens to be perhaps none other than Laura Kinney. And maybe she's being manipulated, maybe somebody's controlling her, and here we have guest stars like Gambit ending up joining this particular storyline. But the biggest breakout stars for a lot of people, including myself, were none other than Gabby and Jonathan, the actual Wolverine. There are some relationships here that were established in the all-new X-Men. Really, it started in the all-new X-Men by Bendis, and then it moved on over to the Hopeless series. And then the back of the book showcases some of the variant covers here and the character designs that you have for Laura when she took over the role of Wolverine. And lots of variants. This is the book that I'm giving my seal of approval. I love this series, and I've explained it a little bit before in the past when people ask me why I liked it so much. Because I came into this book not being a fan of X-23, not being a fan of the Ken. The Ken will appear in the next story arc, and just rolling my eyes at the idea of more and more clones. And I thought, that's just so stupid. Why do we need more Wolverine clones? Why do we need a Wolverine? And I did the same thing with Old Man Logan. But the way the story is written, it really restored my faith in the character of, or a legacy character for Marvel. Because I was, like probably a lot of people my age that grew up in the 80s, and then of course read a lot of comics in the 90s too, that Marvel didn't need legacy characters. Once these characters died, that was it. It's not like we're going to have a kid Cyclops one day. Anyway, but the way that Tom Taylor writes these characters, there's a lot of heart to them. And it's a lot of fun, and there are some funny moments through here, and a lot of heartbreaking moments through here. He makes you care about the characters. So if you're a fan of his run on Nightwing, which has been phenomenal, or it's over now. Definitely check this out, especially if you missed the omnibus. The reason I said a little bit earlier that they added the annual is collected in the omnibus, the all-new Wolverine annual #1, but it wasn't collected in the trade paperbacks. I used to have the trades, and it always aggravated me that annual with Spider-Gwen, even though it's not that big, massive of a story, was not collected in there. So, 472 pages, $54.99. Namor, the Submariner, Epic Collection Volume 5, The Invasion of New York. There's a lot of stories in this Epic Collection that I had never read. And that was mostly due to the fact that I wasn't getting the Marvel Masterworks. I don't think there was an essential that made it this far. We have Bill Everett coming back to this character, Steve Gerber, Mike Friedrich, and you have Marv Wolfman, Steve Skeets, Bill Mantlo, Dan Adkins, and Howard Chaykin. And then pencilers and layouts over here, Bill Everett, Don Heck, George Tuska, Howard Chaykin, Frank Giacoya. Inks and finishes by Bill Everett, Jim Mooney, Don Perlin, Joe Sinat, Sid Shores, lettering by Art Simek, and Karen Mantlo and others, colorist by Stan Goldberg and Glennis Ween, and Petra Goldberg. In here, we have the Submariner issues 50 to 72. Marvel Spotlight number 27. The book has a total of 496 pages and retails for $54.99. This is the return of Bill Everett, the creator of Namor, which is Marvel's, I guess, first superhero, right? Since he made his first appearance. And he is back to the character. And I've got to say, the artwork is freaking astonishing. I have never read this issue. The only issues actually in here that I've read are anything to do... Oh, this is going to sound so lame. Anything to do with X-Men. So, the Sunfire issues. I got you. Those I've read. But he came back to the character. And we kick it off with not just returning him, but also introducing us to another character that will play an important part. Not just in Namor's life, but also the Marvel Comics. And that is Namorita. Or, I'm not sure how people pronounce it. Maybe all my life, I think it's always... For me, it's been Namorita, and that's the way we said it at the comic book store. But I'm sure someone out there will tell me if it's Namorita, which kind of makes sense if it's Namor. But then again, language. Anyway, In this first issue, we see her first appearance, as well as the appearance of Prince Barra. And then we do see a death. Like, Prince Barra comes back from the Golden Age. So it's not just the return of this Bill Everett guy, it's the return of some of these characters. And there's a surprising appearance here that I did not see coming. Then we have the Brotherhood of the Badoon, who of course had appeared previously in the pages of Silver Surfer, and these are the only issues I had read, and I was shocked to find Namorita here hanging out with Namor when I read these. I had to have been a teenager, and I can't remember how in the world Kevin must have had these. My buddy Kevin, his dad collected comics, and his dad had a bunch of Silver Age stuff. But yes, this is the Sunfire story right here, and this is a very key appearance because Sunfire is a character that didn't really get to join the X-Men very long. They're also fighting against this guy named the Dragon Lord, and it's a 3-part story. Now, Bill Everett doesn't do every single one of these issues in here. He does do a lot of the writing and a lot of the pencils and inks, but he doesn't do it all. There are backup stories here as well, beautifully drawn. And then again, a Bill Everett production. Man, how proud he was, and of course Marvel was, to have him back drawing and writing this character. Eventually, you'll have people like Dan Adkins, which comes on board to do some of the I think he actually does some of the illustrations in the next issue. But yeah, with 55 right here, Bill Everett does everything, and it's got this guy right here. It's like a snowman. And then, yeah, this is the one that is Dan Adkins doing the plot and art, with Mike Fradrick doing the script. So you're going to see the return of Bill Everett, but not every one of these issues have everything done by him. This has to be one of the best issues I've never had the chance of reading, because this is also a meeting between the Submariner and this character right here, Venus, was another Bill Everett creation. And here in the last couple of years, I've gotten to know so much more about the character of Venus. And it's really cool how both of the characters come together for this particular story. And you figured with a character like that and Bill Everett being back that she would get to play the role of supporting cast. But no, she doesn't. It's kind of a one and done story, and then she ends up leaving again. We do get a supporting cast, not just Namorita. But we get a lot of other characters like Tamara that ends up joining us like a semi-regular character, even after Bill Everett unfortunately ends up leaving the book. We have the fight with Thor here, where now we have Steve Gerber helping out with the script. And again, the plot is by Bill Everett. And I think the next issue number 60, Bill Everett does himself. And then 61 is the final issue that will have the art of Bill Everett, because unfortunately he passed away at a young age, and you can tell, man, that is just gorgeous. This came very, very, very close to being my pick of the week. For a lot of these stories I didn't read. Unfortunately, what happens is after Bill Everett passed away, even with his supporting cast and the returning villains through here, what they tried to do was try to keep it together, like a team of creators. But if you saw at the beginning, there's like 6 people. This is the last story, I believe, by Bill Everett. There are like 6 people that are writing, scripting, and drawing this, so they could never get like a creative team behind Namor, unfortunately. And even changing it up, I think in issue number 65, to the Savage, yeah, there we go, Prince Namor, the Savage Submariner. It really didn't help the sales, apparently. They were just dwindling. And by the time you get to issue number 72, even with all the guest stars, it kind of comes to an end. I mean, and you have talent in here like Jim Mooney, like Don Heck, George Tuska, and Howard Chaykin, and all those people you saw at the beginning, Steve Gerber. Yeah, none of that really helped the sales, apparently. And it kind of came to an end with issue number 72. Now, what's also collected in here, though, is the Marvel Spotlight number 27, which I think was just about a month away after issue 72. We do get a new costume for Namor at the end of issue 69. And yeah, this is his new costume. I always thought this costume was designed by Eric Larson for some reason. And with issue number 72, we do get the end of this line. And then we do have that story from the Marvel Spotlight right here. And then after this, Namor kind of goes away for a little while until that supervillain team-ups, like that comic book. And that kind of brought him back until we got into the 80s. And I think in the 80s it was like Alpha Flight that brought him back. We have an original piece right here by Bill Everett. I love this. Bill Everett dedicated the stunning hand watercolor illustration to his son, Rob. It's beautiful. And there's Submariner versus the Human Torch. Unused cover sketch for Marvel Comics 2. And Marvel Comics Index revived Everett's cover concept by Dean Morter. Front piece here for the Marvel Index 78. And then the Venus pinup right here from Marvel Spotlight 2. This is beautiful. Instead of doing a memorial tribute, like writing everything about Bill Everett, it was just this piece that they left. And this is by Roy Thomas, Mary Severin, and Frank Giacola. I thought that was really pretty. That it just shows the amount of characters he created in his life. And also just paying honor to him. You have the editorial over here by Steve Gerber. And then the house ad. And the costume designs by John Romita Sr. The book has a total of 496 pages. And $54.99. And that, as they say, is that. If you're interested in purchasing any of these books, don't forget to check out our sponsor, CheapGraphicNovels.com, your online home for graphic novels and collected editions up to 50% off cover price. They have excellent shipping and prompt and helpful service. Check out their bargain deals for up to 90% off cover price. And don't forget that CGN also takes pre-orders. That way you don't miss out on the hottest releases. And they are currently running a special promotion for you Minties. If you're a first-time customer, after receiving your order confirmation email, reply back to that email and let them know Near Mint Condition sent you their way. They will then apply a free shipping promotional credit to your next order in the US. Cheap Graphic Novels, your source for the hottest books with the kind of deep discount, quality shipping, and customer service that will keep you coming back for more. And that was the content and page count and build of each of these books. Let me know in the comments down below if you plan on picking any of these up, if you're waiting for an omnibus reprint or an omnibus collection, or bigger, thicker collections, like epic collections for some of these smaller books. But yes, if you have any questions, leave them down below. Smash that like button on the way out. Everyone stay healthy and safe out there. Much love.